I love it. I love it. I love it. Look at this. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Hey, I'm not surprised.
What's up, homies? Leighton here for UFC Gambling Addicts, back again for another UFC full card breakdown and predictions video. This one's going to be Derek Lewis versus Aleksei Oleinik. But before we get into this card, we're going to do what we always do, take a look at last week. If you don't want to hear the recaps, you can use the timestamps below to skip ahead. Now, as for the betting last week, it wasn't a good week for me. Even on predictions, it wasn't the greatest of weeks. But despite that, we're still going to do a recap, because credit needs to be given to a few of these fighters that I went against. So, first fight, Chris Gutierrez versus Cody Durden. This was a good fight to start the card, Durden was able to get that takedown in the first round. Won that first round 10-8, looked really good. But after that first round, Chris was really able to keep the fight standing, started landing his own low kicks, just adding points up from there. Durden wasn't able to get that takedown again, and Chris won that second and third round. But because of the 10-8 in the first, that's why that fight ended in a draw. Now, Jamal versus Vince. This was a really, really good fight. A lot of credit has to be given to Vince, man. That guy took many, many powerful punches and never gave up. Never looked for a way out of that fight. Came in on short notice, got beaten badly, got dominated, but never gave up. Nate Maness versus Johnny Munoz. This was another good fight. Late replacement. Nate, when he was able to keep the fight standing, it was clear that's where his success was coming from. But when Johnny was able to get those takedowns, it was clear that's where his success was coming from. So, very close fight. A little bit of a disagreement I have with the scoring. I felt it was closer than that, but credit to Nate Maness. Jonathan Martinez and Frankie Saenz. This was a very one-sided fight. Martinez, beautiful, beautiful kicking ability. Just Frankie Saenz was never in this fight. Never really competed. Just basically a punch bag or a kick bag, in other words, Jonathan Martinez looks very, very good. That's the best he's looked so far in the UFC. Bobby Green versus Lando. This rematch, I anticipated this fight going basically the same way it did in the first fight, and that's what we got. Again, this was a great, great fight, very entertaining. Lando being Lando, but Bobby Green having more success with his boxing early this time in the rematch, and I felt that really went a long way for him in this fight. I sided with the kicks again, the low kicks, but Bobby Green was able to stop more of those low kicks and landed more of his, effective punches. Really used that boxing well in the rematch. Vicente Luque and Randy Brown. I took Randy Brown in this fight, and in that second round, when he got that takedown towards the 4th minute, I felt like if he kept that position in the second round, he would have maybe, on the judges' scorecard, won that second round. But it wasn't meant to be. Vicente Luque is a killer. The guy is an assassin. Nasty, nasty knee to the head. Not illegal either. The hands were not on the mat. Vicente Luque, man, what can I say? Credit where credit is due. Beautiful TKO. Jennifer Maia versus Calderwood. Now, I am quite disappointed with Joanne Calderwood. She's better than that. She's way better than that. And I believe every time Joanne Calderwood has got a takedown in any of her UFC fights, I believe she's gone on to win those fights. So to see her get that takedown and just kind of end up in that armbar, man, I mean, I made the joke prior, whoever wins this fight doesn't really win this fight because they go on to fight Valentina. But yeah, man, Joanne Calderwood, she needs to be more aware of what's happening. She's a better fighter than that. She's very experienced. But again, you have to give credit to the fighter that's won. And that's Jennifer Maia. So credit where credit is due. Again, Main event, Derek Brunson versus Edmen Shahbazyan. First round, Edmen looked very good. He caught Derek with a few big shots, especially a right hand at one point. And Derek took it. Derek took that shot, and arguably that was Edmen's best punch of that fight. Second round, Edmen was looking good, but Derek now starting to come on stronger, using that experience, his conditioning. Could see that the less experienced fighter was starting to second guess himself a little bit, and Derek listened to his corner. He searched for those takedowns, and he basically took the soul of Edmen Shahbazyan. Now, does that mean that Edmen isn't going to go on to be what we all felt he was going to be? No, it doesn't mean that. That's a learning lesson for Edmen, Credit again to the veteran, Derek Brunson. Alright, homies, let's get into breaking this one down. Fight number 1, we have Ali, the Royal Fighter, Al-Qaizi versus Irwin, the Beast Rivera. And we're going to start with the newcomer. So Ali comes into this fight 8 wins, 3 losses as a pro, making his UFC debut. From watching tape, I'm quite impressed with Ali. He's improved fight by fight, which is what you want when you're fighting. His guillotine chokes are his go-to. He's had good success with those techniques so far. As for his striking, he isn't bad there either. Doesn't exactly utilise too much movement. More of a walk you down with composure, look to land a big shot type of guy. And if he has you hurt, he is going to look for those chokes. The opponent, Rivera, comes into this fight 0-1 inside the UFC. Had a short notice debut against a brilliant kickboxer in Chikadze. In all honesty, he was outmatched in that fight, but never gave up, never quit, which is respectable. He got the call to the highest level and showed his determination in a pretty much one-sided beating. This time, Rivera will be fighting a guy who's more on his level, especially when it comes to his striking. If I was to guess who's going to look for takedowns, I'd say Rivera. But Ali is going to look for those chokes if he's taken down, He will look for arm bars and guillotines. My pick is going to be the guy that I feel has more to offer in this matchup. And that's the newcomer, Ali Al-Qaizi. And I'll take him via decision. Now, I haven't seen any odds yet. I always check the odds with you guys first. So we have, we're starting with an underdog. Ali coming in plus 150, plus 160. Rivera returning minus 170, minus 180. That's interesting. I really believe the newcomer has a good matchup here. But then again, like I said, Rivera is getting a matchup that better suits him than Chikadze. So, yeah, the line should be a little closer, in my opinion. But I am going to start with plus money there. Fight number 2, we have Yusuf, the Moroccan Devil, Zalal versus Peter Barrett. And we're going to start with Yusuf. So Yusuf comes into this fight 2-0 inside the UFC, primarily a striker inside the octagon. Zalal has proven his talent already, in my opinion. In both of his UFC fights, he was pretty much able to stop the opponent from taking him down, or having any success with their grappling. If Zalal can keep you just kickboxing, his movement and speed is definitely the highlight ability of this man's game. So unique there, How many guys can move to the left and the right so fluidly, and just come in with that jab and the low kick? Zalal's a problem. This man has proven his ability already, in my opinion. The opponent, Peter Barrett, comes into this fight 11-3 as a pro, making his UFC debut. A Muay Thai fighter who's coming off a win on the Contender Series, training out of Laozon MMA. I'm not exactly sure where Peter is going to have success in this fight. We've already seen Lingo and Griffin try to grapple and take down Zalal to take away his movement and speed from the striking. I can't see Peter having any more success with the takedown than both of those guys. And if it stays upright, which I expect it will, I think we're going to see Zalal showcase again his ability on the feet. His striking, low kicks, speed, constant movement. I have to take Zalal this time. I can't go against this guy anymore. He's proven to me what he's about. So the pick is going to be Zalal via decision. Yeah, I mean, minus 450. Jesus. This guy's a problem though. Zalal is a problem. Peter coming back plus 350, plus 360. I don't really know where he's going to have success. He has got a puncher's chance, but so has Zalal. And he has more than a puncher's chance. So the pick is going to be Zalal there. Justin, Guitar Hero Jaynes versus Gavin Tucker. And this is actually a tough prediction to make. We're going to start with Guitar Hero. So Justin comes into this fight 1-0 inside the UFC. For those of you who missed the debut or somehow forgotten about it, Justin is the guy that came in and absolutely obliterated Frank Camacho. No time wasted in that debut. Intentions very, very clear. And he got the result. Frank basically looked like it was going to be a walk in the park. Just calm, composed. This is a step down for me. I can fight whatever way I want. Justin Jaynes coming out all guns blazing, And that's the difference in that fight. Justin was ready and Frank wasn't. The opponent, Gavin Tucker, comes into this fight 2 wins, 1 loss inside the UFC. Quite a well-rounded mixed martial artist. He's coming off a win over Woo Choi. His wrestling was the story in that fight. Had a clear game plan and followed it. Takedown after takedown. Used his top control very well too. Now, Gavin Tucker isn't going to act like this fight is a walk in the park. He will be ready for that storm of punches that Justin may try to come with again. It's quite a difficult fight to predict, considering how much Justin shocked most of us with that debut. But I'm going to side with Tucker. I think if he uses his wrestling early and often, looks to fatigue Justin with that style, I think he could have success. So for those reasons, I'm going to take Gavin Tucker via decision. And the odds are very close because, rightfully so, it's a tough one to predict. Justin Jaynes coming in plus 115, plus 110. Gavin returning minus 140, minus 130. So, yeah, that's nice to see that a few people see Gavin Tucker implementing that style of wrestling. Justin Jaynes, though, it's interesting to see he's such a small underdog. A lot of faith going into him too. So, very tough fight to predict, but I'm going to take Tucker. Fight number 4, we have Andrew Sanchez versus Wellington, the prodigy Turman. And we're going to start with Andrew. So Andrew comes into this fight 4 wins, 3 losses inside the UFC. Primarily a wrestler, training out of TriStar. And I know TriStar fighters haven't looked great recently, but that's still a top gym. One of the very best gyms, Can we expect Sanchez to look much different than previous? Probably not. His wrestling will always be the most dominant part of his game. Gas tank, not great, but having said that, if he can force you into a wrestling contest and tire you out, his gas tank does well in that type of fight. That's his type of fight. Purely wrestling. The opponent, Wellington Turman, comes into this fight 1 win, 1 loss inside the UFC. Wellington is my boy. I chat to him every now and then. Obviously have to use the Google Translate, but it is what it is. Wellington is a strong middleweight himself. Well trained in jiu-jitsu and MMA wrestling. We see evidence of that in both of his UFC fights. The difference for me in this fight is who's going to land the more effective punches and kicks whilst this fight isn't in the clinch. And the answer to that for me is Wellington. Not because he's my boy, but I really think he is the more well-rounded guy in this fight. Seems more dangerous with his striking than Sanchez. I also think he can compete with the wrestling. So the pick has to be Wellington Turman via TKO in round number 2. And the line, we have Wellington coming in plus 150, plus 160, minus 150, minus 160. Sanchez returning plus 130, plus 140. So yeah, I would completely agree with that line. Sanchez, I mean, could he have success in taking down Turman? Maybe, but Turman is a strong guy himself. You know, he could compete with the wrestling, and I expect him to. And when the fight isn't in that wrestling exchange, I think that's where Turman is going to have the most success. Nasrat versus Alex Munoz, and we're going to start with Nasrat. So Nasrat comes into this fight 3 wins, 2 losses inside the UFC, training out of TriStar, just like Andrew Sanchez. Nasrat is a well-rounded fighter, used brilliant boxing pressure against Mark Diakisi, completely destroyed Joaquim Silva. Not many guys can say that they've destroyed Joaquim Silva on the feet. As for his grappling, I believe he's very good there too, rightfully competing at the highest level in MMA. He did have a setback to Drew Dober, but like I just said, this is the highest level of MMA. Alex Munoz comes into this fight 6-0 as a pro, making his UFC debut. He did fight on the Contender Series, where he cashed as an underdog against Nick Newell. For those of you who didn't see that fight, Nick is the talented fighter with one arm. Alex just landed the bigger punches in that fight, really started to damage Nick late in that fight, stopped the takedown too. It wasn't a one-sided fight though. Nick was competing with Alex. If I'm looking at who's the better mixed martial artist overall in this fight, I have to lean with Nasrat. Good pressure, well versed with his grappling. He's an impressive fighter who's still evolving. Alex Munoz's best opportunity is most likely landing a big punch similar to what Drew Dober did. And everyone has a chance like that, you know? This is a fight after all. If that punch doesn't land though, I think Nasrat could finish this fight at some point, maybe even by submission. So I'm going to take Nasrat via submission in round number 2. And we're getting some respect on Nasrat here, that's nice, minus 230, minus 220. Alex Munoz will have to do a lot to win in this fight, and if he can, that's very, very impressive in my opinion. But the pick is going to be Nasrat. Kevin, Home Alone Holland. We made that joke last week. So that's going to be his new name on the channel. You know, not the Trailblazer. It's going to be Kevin Home Alone Holland versus Joaquin Mansa Buckley. So we're going to start with Home Alone. So Kevin comes into this fight 3 wins, 1 loss inside the UFC. Primarily a jiu-jitsu fighter. He was supposed to fight Trevin, now scheduled to fight a debuting fighter. Buckley comes into this fight 10 wins, 2 losses as a pro, making his UFC debut. Buckley is a very explosive guy, punching power in abundance. He was stopped a few years ago, just caught clean coming in, but he was able to redeem himself in the rematch, finishing his opponent via TKO. There's no doubt in my mind who the physically stronger fighter is, who the bigger puncher is. Potentially the better wrestler. I think that's Buckley. But Kevin doesn't rely on wrestling or physicality. More technique. If the fight stays at kicking distance, Kevin's going to score with kicks and a longer jab. He is going to be the taller and longer fighter in this matchup. Buckley has to close the distance, push Kevin up against the fence, make it dirty. Honestly, I could see either guy winning this fight. But I'm going to side with the newcomer. I think if he keeps good pressure on Kevin, he could nullify those kicks. You know, he has to push Kevin up against the fence too. Just turn it into a dirty fight. And if he can do that, I think he could have success in the debut. So I'm going to take Buckley via decision. And I'm interested to see the odds here. Oh my good God. Okay. Home Alone coming in minus 500, minus 450. Wow. So according to the odds, I'm completely overestimating Buckley in this fight. But man, I see something in him. I think he has more power. He's explosive. He's strong in the clinch. And I think if he keeps close to Kevin, keeps that pressure on him, he could have good success, especially at plus 350. But yeah, I mean, Kevin Holland is the proven UFC talent. He has very, very good jiu-jitsu. So if Buckley does take him down, he could win with his jiu-jitsu alone. But yeah, you know what? I'm going to take a shot here on the massive underdog newcomer, Buckley. Tim, the Dirty Bird Means versus Loreno Staropoli. And we're going to start with Tim. So Tim comes into this fight 11-9-1 inside the UFC. A veteran of the sport. A fighter that's seen it all, he can do it all. Primarily a boxer inside the octagon. Here's the problem though. Tim has taken a lot of damage over the duration of his career. Even when he's fighting well and he's looking good, it only takes one good shot from the opponent to hurt him. Nico Price and Daniel Rodriguez live in proof of that. Now I know it only takes one good shot from anyone to hurt anyone, but even more so when it comes to a guy who's taken a lot of damage like Tim Means. The opponent, Loreno Staropoli, comes into this fight 2 wins, 1 loss inside the UFC. A striker, coming off a loss to arguably one of the best kickboxers in the UFC, Muslim Salikov. Staropoli didn't have any decent moments really in that fight, but just going 15 minutes against a guy like that will help you evolve as a fighter. Previous to that loss though, Staropoli was showcasing his ability. A lot of kicks, quite unorthodox with his striking, just didn't work against such a good kickboxer in Muslim Salikov. I wouldn't be confident in either pick for this fight. Tim Means has a lot of experience. He definitely has the ability to beat Staropoli. But the flip side is, Staropoli is fresh in his career. He'll be looking to clip that worn chin of Tim Means. And he definitely has the ability to do that. I'm going to take the fresher fighter. But like I said, I wouldn't be confident in either guy here. But my pick is going to be Staropoli via TKO in round number 2. I just think at some point he is going to find that sweet spot. Staropoli coming in -140, -135. Tim Means returning +120, +110. So yeah, I mean the line really does reflect the prediction we have to make. Tim Means is good enough. You know, he's beaten some good guys, fought against very top competition, has a lot of experience. He can win this fight, but the chin is gone, and Staropoli will be looking to clip that chin. So it's very tough. For me, I'm on Staropoli. Alright, my homies, you know what time it is. If you waited to smoke with me, amen. If you've been smoking the whole time, amen. If you're not a smoker, but you enjoy the smoke breaks, triple amen. Alright guys. So breakdown goals of last week. I asked for 2 channel memberships, we hit 8. I asked for 420 likes, we hit over 440. I asked for 150 subscribers, we hit over 150, we hit 155. So amen to all of those again, we smashed them. You know, amen to you guys, really. Now we're going to run through the channel members. So Damien D, thank you. Matt Cut Fitness, Washi, Bricku Donovan, Gabriel Montero, The Def Jam Blaster, Typical Skeptic, Mark Potter, Jason ST, Malik Smith, James Rogers, Bobby Malloy, Joshua Hayward, Outrageous Juice, Mike Peterson, Edvinus Rakikas, Dill, Daniel McKenzie, Jamie McClary, Beach City TV, The Neil Watkins, Ras, The Boss, Cody Vaughan, Rishi, Oscar Everingham, what a name, Joe Kuehl, 111, Curtis Hale. Thank you to all of you guys. That's 30 members now. The list is getting bigger and bigger every week, you know. That felt like a good minute reading those guys off, but it's going to happen every smoke break. We're going to list off this list every time, you know, list off the list, yeah. The smoke break hitting, as it always does. Okay, so breakdown goal for this week. Now, this breakdown is coming out quite late, so realistically, we should be dropping the bar a little bit, but I'm not going to too much. We're going to stick with 2 channel memberships. Let's go for 350 likes and let's keep it at 100 subs. You know, in 2 days, if we can get 100 subs, that's pretty nice. I hope all of you homies have enjoyed the breakdown so far. It's coming out quite late. I've been training a lot this week, so haven't had much time to sit down and watch tape. So, you know, I had to get all of that done, the tape watching, before I got into this. So it's been quite late this week, and I'm sorry for that. The Miocic and Stipe card, I'm really looking forward to that one. So that one should be out normal time, Sunday or Monday. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, I got both of those fights right so far. I took Daniel Cormier as an underdog in the first one, and then I took Stipe as an underdog in the second one. So can we make it 100% in the trilogy? Can we do it? I think we can. I've got a feeling, guys, we can. Alright, let's get back into this. Let's get into this main card. Beneil, Benny, Dariush versus Scott, Hot Sauce, Holtzman. And we're going to start with Beneil. So Beneil comes into this fight 11 wins, 4 losses, 1 no contest inside the UFC. A jiu-jitsu practitioner, a very high level jiu-jitsu fighter. 5 of his 11 wins come in via submission. Even able to finish Draka closer with a beautiful overhand, sent Draka to another realm. The opponent, Scott Holtzman, comes into this fight 7 wins, 3 losses inside the UFC. Scott is a hard worker, man. Still looking to be the best version of himself inside the octagon. A strong wrestler, a boxer that can put you out at any moment. Tough as nails, just a guy who's willing to go as far as it takes to achieve at the highest level. Despite Beneil putting Draka out with that violent overhand, I don't think it would be wise for Beneil to stand and trade too much with Scott. Now, that's not saying that Beneil hasn't got the striking. It's the difference in mentality. Scott doesn't mind taking your best punches to land his, whereas Beneil definitely isn't up for taking your best punches. Can Scott keep Beneil away from him, stopping the clinch, stopping the takedown, especially in the small octagon? I don't think he can. So for those reasons, I'm going to take Beneil via submission in round number 1. And taking a look at those odds, we have Beneil coming in -170, -180, Scott Holtzman returning +150, +160. Yeah, I really can't argue with those odds. I mean, Scott Holtzman rightfully getting a step up in competition, coming off that win against Jim Miller, you know, passed the test in that fight. Now getting a step up from Jim. Can he pass this one? Man, I'll be very impressed if he does, but this time I have to go against that test. Yana, Foxy, Kuniskaya versus Julija, Stoliarenko. And we're going to start with Yana. So Yana comes into this fight 2 wins, 2 losses inside the UFC. I'm not exactly sure of Yana's fighting base. I would guess a Muay Thai striker, but you look at her, both of her UFC fights. The story of her winning those fights, in the fight she did win, were takedowns, using her wrestling. There's not much violence in Yana's violence when it comes to striking. And by that I mean, it doesn't look like she's actually trying to hurt the opponent with her technique. The opponent, Julija Stoliarenko, comes into this fight making her UFC debut, primarily a striker inside the octagon. Now, I was just speaking about Yana needs to put violence in her violence. Julija doesn't have that problem. Nasty, nasty elbows. Her low kicks seem very damaging. As for her boxing, it doesn't seem like she's the quickest with her hands. But this is MMA, not boxing. In boxing, speed kills. Julija definitely has the power in her boxing, not so much speed. This is still a tough fight to predict, because if Yana chooses to take down Julija, I think that's her best path to victory. Apparently the only path to victory as of yet for Yana in the UFC. But if she's made to strike with Julija, I believe the damage in strikes will be very evident, and the fighter causing that damage, I believe, will be Julija. Tough one to decide on, but I'm going to take the newcomer, purely down to I see her being more violent out of both fighters. So I'll take Julija via decision. And the odds, we have Yana coming in -230, -240. Julija returning +200. So, yeah, again, maybe I'm overestimating Stoliarenko in this fight. But, man, if Yana doesn't take her down, if this is kept upright, I really think that Julija could break Yana. I mean, Yana isn't that violent. She doesn't seem to hurt her opponent. The opponent seems to hurt her. You know? Darren, the dentist, Stewart versus Maki, Coconut Bombs, Pitolo. And we're going to start with Darren Stewart. So Darren comes into this fight 4 wins, 5 losses, 1 no contest inside the UFC. Primarily a boxer inside the octagon. There's a clear pattern for Darren's UFC career. If the opponent can take him down or keep him against the fence, they seem to beat him. I'll give Darren credit though. Against Bevan Lewis and Deron Winn, you can see the improvements he made with his wrestling. Against Fabinski in his last fight, same story. Couldn't stop the takedown, pressed against the fence, made to wrestle. Couldn't fight his fight. The opponent, Maki Pitolo, comes into this fight 1 win, 1 loss inside the UFC. A smasher inside the octagon. Maki is looking to land those coconut bombs. Struggled with his grappling himself in his debut, but then cashed as an underdog for us against Charles Byrd. A lot of people fading Maki in that fight. Just like Darren, Maki showed us improvements with his wrestling. Stylistically, this is a good matchup because Darren and Maki both want to stand and trade. They should get to do that in this one. Does either guy have a grappling advantage in this fight? Probably not. Darren's probably the better kickboxer, but doesn't possess the same power that Maki does, nor the same cardio that Maki has. I'm sure as a community we're going to be split on this one. For me, I'm taking Darren Stewart. I wouldn't be confident in either side, but I think Darren could avoid being knocked out, just pick up points over 15 minutes, whether that's slightly edging out the grappling, landing a few more kicks, a few more jabs. Just over 15 minutes, I think Darren could edge it against Maki Pitolo. And the odds, the odds should be maybe a little bit closer. Darren coming in -150, -160. Maki returning +130, +140. Now they maybe should be a little closer because Maki can put out Darren at any moment. He really can. He's a nasty, nasty puncher, and if he lands on that sweet spot, he could win this fight. But Darren is going to be more kick orientated, maybe look to even grapple himself. You know, he's grappled a lot, so he would have learnt there a lot. Over 15 minutes though, I would have to go with Darren. Alright, co-main event homies, we have Chris, the All-American Weidman versus Omari Wolverine Akhmedov. And we're going to start with Chris. So Chris comes into this fight 10 wins, 5 losses inside the UFC. 1 win in his last 6 fights. A wrestler, an All-American wrestler, who hasn't been able to use that foundation in a while. The last guy Chris took to the mat and had success against was an undersized middleweight by the name of Kelvin Gastelum. Chris was having some success against Jacare, just ended up in a dogfight. That's not what Chris is made for. He's made for wrestling. The opponent, Omari Akhmedov, comes into this fight 8 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw inside the UFC. A Russian fighter, so we know what Omari's foundation is. Combat Sambo. A wrestler, just like Chris. Omari pretty much grappled his way to victory every time he steps into the octagon. Isn't looking to brawl or be in a dogfight. The better striker in this fight, in my opinion, is Chris Weidman. And arguably the better wrestler too. The problem is the chin. Just like Tim Means from earlier. Chris cannot take a good punch at all. If you crack Chris Weidman, he's going down. It doesn't matter who you are. I think a few years ago, we would have all taken Chris Weidman in this fight. If Chris cannot win this one, he needs to retire. I'm going to put some faith into him. Can the chin hold up? My confidence isn't strong, but I wouldn't exactly be confident taking Omari, seeing as he's not sleeping his opponents in any of his wins. So I'm going to take Chris Weidman for his chin to hold up over 15 minutes and win a decision. And the odds, we have Chris coming in minus 120, rightfully so. Omari returning plus 115. I mean, Chris is the better striker. He's fought better guys. He's been the champion. He's, in my opinion, the better wrestler. The worry is just taking that punch. And Omari, you know, he's not a striker, but he can hit hard. And if Chris gets hit hard, he's going down. That's the only worry in this fight. Over 15 minutes, I think Chris is the better fighter. He's the better MMA fighter. But it's just, you know, it doesn't matter how well it's going for Chris. He needs to avoid being knocked out, which everyone does. The goal for Chris is to survive. And if he does survive, chances are he probably outpointed Omari. So, yeah, come on, let's go, Chris. All right, homies, main event. And what a tough main event this is to predict. We have Derek, the Black Beast, Lewis versus Alexei, the Boa Constrictor, Oleinik. And we're going to start with Derek. So Derek comes into this fight 14 wins, 5 losses inside the UFC. A boxer, one of the biggest punchers behind Francis Ngannou. Derek, by no means a slick heavyweight. Throws high kicks that are very meaningless. Hopefully he doesn't do that in this fight. Cardio isn't great. But it's not like he's popping 50% strikes out there like a Diaz. Each and every one of Derek's punches is to send you to another realm. Takedown defense, not the best either. The best part of Derek's takedown defense is he's a big lump to move. You know, that is his takedown defense. If you can't move this big, massive temple of mine, then you're not taking me down. The opponent, Alexei Oleinik, comes into this fight 8 wins, 4 losses inside the UFC. Primarily a grappler, one of the most underrated submission specialists in MMA, now getting the recognition he deserves. This main event is pretty clear, in my opinion. It's clear to the point that either can happen, right? Obviously, this is MMA, so anything can happen, but I think most of us would agree that if Alexei is going to win this fight, it's because he takes down Derek, either ground and pounds him or ground and pounds him into a submission, whether it's the first round or the 5th round. That's how most of us will probably see Alexei winning. The flip side is, if Derek lands one big punch, we can see Alexei going down, being sent to another realm. And if Alexei can't take down Derek up against the fence, the way he couldn't take down Overeem up against the fence, eventually Derek will land a big punch, and that'll be that. Honestly, like I said, either path can happen. That's why it's a tough prediction to make, but it's pretty clear one or the other, right? Would we be surprised if Derek stopped the takedown and sent Alexei to another realm? No. Would we be surprised if Derek couldn't stop the takedown and got submitted? No. It's really a pick'em. For me though, I'm going to side with Derek Lewis in a hope that he's too big up against the fence to take down. So yeah, I'm going to take Derek Lewis via TKO in round number 1. And the odds, we have Derek coming in minus 200, Alexei returning plus 170. So that's basically minus 200 worth of Derek isn't going to be taken down up against the fence. And that's crazy, because if he gets taken down, he may as well be plus 200 himself. Alexei, of course, does have the chance. He does need the takedown, but Derek packs insane power, and I don't think Alexei's down for that power. So, yeah, for me, Derek Lewis, but it's a pick'em. Alright, homies, if you enjoyed the breakdown, let me know in the comments. Alright, peace.